Do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and this is my beautiful bride.
This is Dee. Good evening.
We thank you for coming and being part of our show tonight. We're the authors of the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. We hope you're ready for a great show because we're excited about having you as part of our audience tonight. So we are so grateful for all of you who make this part of your weekly routine to join in with us and tune in with us and be part of this. We are going to talk tonight about a letter that came in that was very profound and one that we thought we should talk about.
The general topic is,
yes,
the person I married is gone.
The person changed.
So now, read your letter, please.
Well, the letter is after 46 years. I won't go into
email.
Yeah, it was email. Mm-hmm. The email came in. We encourage you to send emails anytime you like with any issue. The wife said her husband has changed.
They've been married for 47 years.
47 years. The husband's changed.
They were best friends.
They were best friends. And now he argues about anything and everything. And she just doesn't know what to do. And so she sent the letter. And
the email.
It's a note.
Yes.
All right. She got this technical thing about whether it was a letter or email. It's a note. How the delivery system is secondary.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so she wants advice on what should you do. And you know, this is something. Hey, Greg and Linda watching from West Virginia. You know, they just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Bravo, 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 bravo. And yes, we are celebrating our 40th on the 28th of June, on the June 28th. Mm-hmm. Okay. So
I thought that this would, when you told me about it and said, what did I think?
Yes.
And first I thought that it would be a straightforward answer, but it really is sad and it's convoluted. So why don't we start to break it down?
Okay. So this is not the first time in the last year I've had a conversation with somebody who said, the person I married 30 years ago is not the person I'm living with now or I'm with now.
But I think you have to pick it apart to identify what that means. The person that I married is gone. The person that I married is no longer the same person. What does that mean?
Oh, by the way, it was June 14th for Greg and Linda.
Okay.
That was Saturday. Congratulations. Hope you had
right before Father's Day.
Yeah, and congratulations. June 14th, Greg and Linda, because they're celebrating 50 years of marriage. That's amazing. That's awesome.
And so you should put in the chat, what's your secret?
Yeah, what's your secret? While we're talking
right
tonight, let's talk about your secret.
Top 3 things? What would you say are the top 3 things that you got to do?
Yeah, what are your 3 things you got to do? Okay.
You call it You Got Us.
You Got Us, yeah. So Greg and Linda, you can put that in. We'll share that before the show is out. Everybody, this is going to be really profound because they have proven the test of time.
50 years.
50 years of being married. And they still, you know, they still
like each other. And they travel together.
They travel, that's right. Okay.
I think they work together. Oh, well, they work and travel together.
Yeah.
So that's a great
we got lots of Haki, Ami joined, Diva on Purpose has joined. We got so many people around.
Diva on Purpose. Okay, let's get to the information. Okay. People are here. They want information. Let's not waste your time.
All right. So let's talk about this situation. As I said, I've had other folks who've had this situation where they've been married to somebody who is now different than the person.
Okay, so let's deal with how this person is different. Okay. Let's be very specific.
Okay.
As best basic.
But she said He argues about anything and everything.
So maybe his personality
And
is different.
She didn't say that.
Oh.
You're putting things in it. She said he argues about anything and everything, and he was her best friend.
Mm-hmm.
They were best friends, but they are now not, and she wants to get it back. What should she do? That's what she asked.
And what I said to you when you asked me that earlier on today, what would you say? And the first thing I said was they need counseling. And you're like, you roll your eyes at me.
Oh no, I did not roll my eyes. I said, see, I did not roll my eyes. I said, first things first, she should ask him why he's different. What is it?
Or maybe he doesn't know he's different. Hello.
Or maybe she'll say, I feel.
Okay.
Or I experience. Or
Okay.
this is what I'm feeling. That there's a difference.
Okay.
And is there something I should know? Is there something going on?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something bothering you? Is there something about me?
Okay.
That having that opening communication might be an issue.
Having an open and honest conversation.
Yes.
Okay. But
Can I give a life lesson or a point of context?
Okay.
Now everybody know we don't argue. We haven't had an argument, but on one day over the weekend, I think Dee was a little edgy. Saw her in the car. I asked her for something. She was very curt. Okay. I said, she kind of curt there, kind of curt, I made a joke of it. She said, I'm sorry. And then we went on. And then a little later in the morning, I asked her another question and she was even more curt. I said, hold up. There's something going on here. And when I brought it up and we talked about it, there was something on her mind, not about us, about something else that was on her spirit. And
that was important to me.
That was important. That's right. And I said, okay, now I get it. So I'm saying that as an object lesson, that maybe there's something that's not her that is causing this issue in his personality, or maybe it is her. Something in it. Now, I don't know, but you don't know until you talk about it.
Okay, so where do you start?
You start by having a conversation saying, here's how I'm feeling. Going back to the 4 F's.
Based upon what you are doing or saying?
Well, here's how I'm feeling about what you said, or you arguing. We didn't argue before. Mm-hmm. You're arguing all the time.
Okay, so why don't we start with perhaps the simplest thing? Your suggestion is to communicate with him and say something is different here.
That's right. And that's honest. Something is different. Let's see. Greg, now we're going to interject. Greg and Linda are giving some of the tips for 50 years of marriage. We have the same values. God is our partner. We started with the mindset till death do us part, and it's been a fun adventure. Wow.
Very nice.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Now let's go through that. He said, 1, values. You talked about that last week, didn't you? Values. How important it is to have the same values.
God, family, friends.
Yep. Then God making God an equal part of your marriage, which we talk about in chapter number 2 of the book. And then a mindset that we will do this till death do us part.
I'm not looking for a way out.
No.
There's no way out. So we got to figure it out.
We got to figure it out, work it out.
And it is better together.
It is.
It's better.
And when you make up your mind with that mindset, that's why I think it's important for him to say a mindset that this is not, we hope it's going to last. We wish it will last. This is it. We will work through the problem. Am I right? And that's what we've done.
Okay.
For 40 years, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
So first piece of advice for this nice Christian lady because she
She listens to me on radio. I don't go into detail, just on the radio. I don't want to give her much input about who she is.
Okay.
But we try to keep everybody in the
radio, and she's not in the DC market. I can't say that.
Yeah, you can say that.
She's not in the DC market. So the first piece of advice I would say, she's listening, is that
you're right. She is a Christian lady because she listened to me on the Christian broadcast.
So you have to communicate, and since I've already talked about how difficult it can be to get my thoughts out of my head and into your ear, that's something I had to have to work at. Then you have to say, I have a concern. So how do you broach the subject? I have a concern. There's something different. This is how I'm feeling, because when you do this, this is how this makes me feel. Okay. So maybe that's the easy approach.
Yeah.
And don't argue back.
No, don't argue. Don't argue.
Because it becomes pointless. So that is not.
What did the old man say to me when we were newly married? He said, take two to argue. When one of you doesn't participate in the argument, the other one is just standing there looking like a fool. He said, don't argue. Okay. All right,
so you already know that there's something wrong because he did not do this initially for years. The constant argue about everything. This is unusual. This is different.
Right.
So you will not participate in the arguing or trying to even rationalize, because sometimes when you try to rationalize, it just makes it worse.
Senior Terrence joined in. Hey, Senior Terrence. Thank you for the nice Father's Day greeting, by the way, Senior Terrence. And back to you. Now, I want to go to a point where I said earlier.
Can I go to number 2?
Let me finish this thought about he changed. The experience I had with another friend who said similar, my husband, who I have now, or the guy I am married to now, is not the same guy I married. I think that's the way she said it. The guy I'm married to now is not the same man I married. It's a different person, and I don't particularly care for this person. Okay? And as I talked to her about the situation, I realized that she too played a part in this. Okay, there was
that's a point you got to put on the table. Oh, have you changed, or have you noticed that you've changed? That points up another thing. All right, so how can you have a conversation about, well, you've changed, maybe I've changed? What evidence is there? There's something called journaling. Okay.
You recommend that? Is that what you're saying? You recommend?
Yeah. Journaling for everything. Journaling in terms of you're not responding, you're not reacting to the behavior, which is totally different than what it used to be.
Hey, Wayne Smith 970. See you there.
But you can write.
All right.
You can write down what the behavior is, so that when you come back to have a conversation, you can say, your behavior is so different. You said in response to this, and this is out of character for you. So you have, I think, you have to have some evidence to present, or some examples of what's going on, to get him to stop and think, right? And then he might say, well, this is in response to, because your communication is different.
Yeah, it could be something that he did.
Because she might be different.
That she did that bothers him over time. And it's like, one time we heard somebody say, I like this person, but it was like a shoe that was a little too tight and it rubbed me. And over time, you can live with that little discomfort or a little irritation in your shoe for a little while. But the longer you wear that shoe,
you're going to get a corn on your toe.
You're going to hurt. And it's going to create and that's a good analogy, isn't it? That shoe has a little irritant. And you dealt with it, you lived with it, it was okay. But after time, it got bigger in scope.
So you got to talk, you got to communicate. Then it comes down, how am I going to communicate about this very uncomfortable, difficult situation?
Right.
So now you're saying you have to broach a conversation as gently as you can, that with some examples. That's why I said if you can just journal, doesn't mean a great big, you can write down, so the different kind of behavior that is making you say that you're feeling different. Right?
Yes.
So that when you have a conversation with him, you can say, here's some examples that I don't understand.
So now let's
I think that's the first step. And the other thing, they actually had to do some research, because I'm like, okay, so what did that happen? Because I know initially I said to you, well, he might have dementia. Might have Alzheimer's and dementia. Early stages. Don't make fun.
I'm not making fun, but I don't know what it is.
We don't know. But I'm saying
you thought it could be this, it could be that, it could be, and I don't know why the person.
So you have a checklist for everything. The first thing is that you're going to figure out how you can broach the subject that I feel that you have changed because of 1, 2, 3, 4 that I've been journaling and keeping.
Terrence said the toothpaste and toilet paper conversation. In other words, the toothpaste. How do you put the toothpaste? How do you get the toothpaste out? Toilet paper. Which side do you roll it off of? That's something that's so small, little irritant that is not dealt with, and you don't talk about it. It can become a problem. Am I right?
Yes.
I mean, let's look at if I had continued to not make up the bed, like when we got married. I didn't make up the bed.
Would you just leave it on the floor? No, but that's a thought.
She said that irritated her. And so.
But you cared enough to take note of it.
But you made
that just, and I said, drove me over the edge. And then I said, if you make up the bed, I'll make love to you when you want.
I made that doggone bed up every day. Every day.
Okay, let's get back.
Every day.
So we don't know the cause of the change that my spouse is no longer here the way it was originally, right?
Right.
So you got to have a conversation.
You do have to have the conversation.
A conversation.
And find out if I'm doing something. Is this am I doing something, or is there something that in our household, or something that you need to share with me, or even if you don't want to share, there's something that is different.
And you can give some examples if you're journaling, writing down your thoughts. Oh, this behavior is strange. You can write that down, right? From a piece of toilet paper to paper towel or something. And we keep scraps of paper everywhere. We're all over, because we write and type about everything, right?
Right.
Now, so at least you've opened the door. But I'm like, what if he doesn't acknowledge it or is not aware? Then I'm saying next steps, before I jump to, oh my God, he's got dementia, what am I going to do? Is that maybe there's a need for a doctor's appointment. Hello.
Well, I think let's go through the list. Let's go. Step number 1 is you talk to each other.
Yes.
Step number 2, you get some counseling.
Well,
I think before you go to a doctor, you go to counseling. Before you go to doctor, I know, but before you go to get a doctor appointment, see if he got dementia or you go to get some counseling. You get counseling. That's the next logical thing I would say. I
would say, check your health first. Let's see.
Are
you on some people who take?
You go to counseling second.
Blood
let the counselor
medications.
Let the counselor make that determination. Number 1, you talk to each other. Number 2, listen, if you're watching, ma'am. Number 1, you talk to him and you ask, is it something I'm doing? Is something going on? Is something I need to know about? Something
you need to be very gentle with that.
Yeah, but
you don't want to set him off since he's already.
But you do have to have the conversation.
I'm not disagreeing.
And if you're scared to have the conversation, you won't have the conversation.
Well, she might be scared, but you got to do it anyway.
Yeah, but you don't have to argue back. I think that's a good point from you. Don't argue back. If he gets it, you don't have to argue back.
And then
number 2.
And then you need to have in your conversation some examples.
Yeah. I agree with that.
He might not
be aware of. I agree with that. Okay. Number 2 is get some counseling. Counseling is good. It does not make you weak. It helps to keep you strong. And marriage counseling is an effective tool.
Now, I interject here and say, why don't we go for our physicals and let's see how we're doing? Because, you see, we have difference of opinion. I'm like, well, are you taking high blood pressure medication?
No, I'm not.
You might be out of whack, right?
That's why I go to counseling. Let the counselor, who is the doctor, ask those questions, say, you need to go get some medication, okay? All right, the counselor. Then number 3, if the counselor says you go get a doctor, I agree with that, okay? Next.
See, note any medications that you might be taking that can interfere or can counteract each other.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So see, that could be number 2 and number 3. I know we're at odds with that. Okay. Maybe there's a sleep problem. Maybe it's depression.
Again, counselor and medication. Medical doctor could counseling first, then medical doctor would.
Well, counselor, you're saying counselor is second. Then the medical doctor.
Third.
But I'm saying
and fourth. Let's see. Terrence said, "Can I come up with an alternative ego? One named Terrence and one named Kevin." I don't know if that'll work, Senior Terrence. You want to be on? I wish I could be sometime William and Willie, but I'm always Willie. All right. Then what else do you have?
Okay. So if you get to the doctor's office,
okay,
you use that. Okay.
All right. That's good.
We can do counseling and we could do the physical stuff at the same time. Can we? Can we do that? Annual checkup.
Well, what happened if you just went for your checkup last week? He said you're all right.
Well,
then you go back to the doctor again?
Certain things you need to discuss.
Yeah.
All right.
You get this thing in your head, you just won't let it go with you. It's okay though. That's why we don't argue. I just move along.
Well.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Depression issues are a real thing.
Yeah, depression is a real thing.
And somebody might not really know that they have depression or manic issues brought on by things that are going on in their lives. Okay. And it needs to be brought.
All right. All of that though is you're making assumptions. She has just given us this.
I know, so we have to make assumptions.
But no. Well, you're making assumptions as to what the problem could be. It could be a myriad of problems. He could be
have hearing loss.
I mean, it could be a myriad of problems. I don't want to start the shooting and throwing her up a wall with all of what could be. Here's the problem.
I have thyroid issues.
The problem is he's arguing about anything and everything in her.
But we're trying to get to the source of it.
Here's the source that she argues back. That's a source that she argues back. Do not argue back. Don't argue back. An argument takes 2 people.
So then we go back to the very beginning of how do you not? It sounds easy, but sometimes you're so pissed off. You want to argue back.
Yeah, that takes discipline. Terrence says ashwagandha and 2 copies of this book keeps the doctor away and helps your marriage stay. So thank you, Terrence. All right. And by the way, hope people can go to jolleymarriage.com, get a free chapter from the marriage book. The biggest chapter is the communication chapter, and they can free the free TED Talk, which this lady, that's what I wrote back to her.
Oh, okay,
I said, I want you and your husband to watch the TED Talk together. If he won't watch it, you watch it. Okay? But then
the goal is to not argue, and the goal is to de-escalate.
Yes.
This is not the man that she married.
Yes.
So how do we find him?
Now that's good. How do we find him? How do we reclaim him?
So conversation first, because he might not be aware that he is no longer the person that she believes he was when they got married, right? So that requires a lot of control on her part to not argue back and to have conversation to be able to explain in a genteel, kind fashion. This is what I see is going on with examples that you saved from journaling. Here I am. I hate journaling again. Oh.
You want to get back to the doctor again, so you want to find some way to circle back to the doctor appointment to get a physical.
So then we can go together to a counselor. Would it be a good idea for us to have a third party in our conversation so we can see what our challenges are? Not your challenge, but what our challenges are, so we can get back to where we were. The loving,
also another
partner.
question.
What? Terrence said, did she drive me crazy? Maybe she.
Maybe. Now I would ask a question in that early conversation. Am I doing something? Is there something going on? And here's the thing. Is our marriage
stuck?
Yeah. And if so, what's your perspective on it? And here's how you do it. You just do it like that. Thank you. I help her with her phone. I have to help her with her phone.
Technology is not my strong suit.
I'm surprised that it's even on, because her phone is an outbound of a device. You know, everybody calling D.
No, they call you.
Because
looking for me.
Yes. All right. So, ma'am, I want to encourage you to do a couple things. Number one, have a conversation with your husband and say
gently as possible.
Well, say, look, hello, Elizabeth Wormsley. Say to your husband, I feel that something has changed.
Okay.
And I don't want to make assumptions about what has changed or why it changed. I just want to ask you, is there something I'm doing or I have done that irks you, bothers you?
So that's the initial salvo. That's the initial, I don't play tennis. That's the initial volley. Is that right?
That's good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, to get the conversation going. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then from there, if it doesn't resolve in that manner, then say, how about if we get some counseling? And go see a marriage counselor, preferably a Christian marriage counselor. And I would say, I would not dissuade you from reaching out to us. A lot of people have asked, will we do counseling? No, but we do marriage mentoring.
What's the difference?
And the difference is, we can tell you from our experience. You you get a session with us, and we would talk through with both of you some of the things we've done to get past arguing, get on to loving, and things we've learned from other couples that we can share as a mentor. And of course, we encourage you to read the book and to watch the TED Talk. And if you do that, then I think you're on your way. Then, as Dee said, maybe there's a physical issue. Maybe there's a physical issue that's at play here.
There could be chemical imbalances. There's so much going on today because we live in an angry society today. This is very different.
You're right.
And a lot of anxiety. And if your husband argues about everything, it could be a result of some things that are part of the environment that he's in when he's away from home. So you hadn't thought about that.
Tara says, write down the pros and cons before she gives it to her husband and see if she has any of the cons herself.
Amen.
That's a good point. Good point, Terrence.
That's good, Terrence.
I'm going to go back one more time for those who might have missed that Greg and Linda Kozera on the last Saturday, the 14th, celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. And they give our book out to people like water. They just buy them by the box loads and give them out to friends, family members, co-workers, people getting married. We thank them for that. That's how we kind of developed this relationship. And in terms of the marriage. I knew him from the Speakers Association. But I asked him at the beginning, we asked for those who weren't here, what are some of the secrets for a successful, happy marriage for 50 years? And I want to make sure everybody gets it. We have the same values. We have the same values then as we have now, but also we have values that are consistent with each other. Number two, God is our partner. He makes this a partnership. And then
that helps you have the same values too, because you believe the same things.
Well, some of them
you're walking down the same path.
Yeah, but even values that might not have anything to do with a faith base, it's just values about being honest. What I found our Jolley family rules that is on our counter here, and everybody in the family knows these are our Jolley family rules. So we hold true. Values, God, and then they said we made a decision that till death do us part, we're not just words. It is how we live our life. And Greg just sent us up saying, your book can save marriages if people will read it. Amen. Make it self-help, not shelf-help. So read the book. Get 2 copies.
Read it and then practice it.
Yeah, get 2 copies, one for each of you. Read it together and then talk about it, the lessons at the end of each chapter. Our time is up. Okay.
Thank you.
We got 2 weeks, Greg and Linda, before we celebrate 40 years on the 28th. And we want to thank you for your great model. And we hope we can be a model to others. Thank you to Senior Terrence and all the others who have joined in and mentioned everybody who has been part of this, telling friends and family members how they can be a part of the Jolley Marriage Show. Remember, you can watch all shows on YouTube. We're going to go out now with music.
Send us an email if you have a question.
Like this lady did.
Yes.
Send us an email if you have a question.
Yes.
We'll try and answer the best we can, and we'll never use your name. But we want to make sure this is anonymous. Thank you, Sharon said. Congratulations for 40 years. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here we go.
Love you guys.
God bless
you so
y'all.
much.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you.